G'day, Paul Brennan, Bring Our Birds Home. It is Thursday, April the 27th, time for a video update. A lot's been happening, as I posted on the Facebook page earlier today. Some sad news. So let's have the sad news first and then the good news afterwards to balance it out. Well, it's not entirely sad. It just is what it is, and you expect these sorts of curveballs to come when you try and do something like we're doing. So, regards the 747-200 ZK-NZV, we thought was derelict at Domodedovo Airport in Moscow. I met with Atta at the Russian embassy in Wellington yesterday, who gave me some great information which allowed me to drill down into what's left of Transaero Airlines, the airline that last operated this aircraft as VPBQC. I was able to contact a representative from that airline, went belly up last year, a guy called Alec, who got back to me and told me, unfortunately, the sad news was that that aircraft had been scrapped in early 2015, and he should know because he organised it and oversaw it. Well, you sort of can't argue with that, and he expressed his condolences and his sadness at that, and I thanked him. It happened a long time before we started this campaign, so there was nothing we could have done. We did have that image from 2015, but that must have been just before it was scrapped, and the Google Earth image that we thought was NZV was in fact another 747-300 series Transaero, parked in the same place as it turned out, but not the bird that we were looking for. So that's sad. Alec did tell me though that there were 3 other ex-Air New Zealand 747-200s that he knew about at an airport called Rome Griffiths in upstate New York. So I contacted that airport in the early hours of this morning, talked to the airport manager, who actually drove out in the car while he was talking to me to the area where he thought they were parked. He did remember them, and they'd gone. So there are no Air New Zealand 747-200s left. They've all gone, but we tried. The silver lining here is there are some 747-400s ex-Air New Zealand still around. The one we're specifically chasing as of today is ZK-NBT. That's at the Goodyear Air Park outside of Phoenix, Arizona. It's stripped right back to the core airframe. We're trying to find out about the status of that, and the other 2 we think that are out there, NBU and NBW, I think are the registrations. So we'll have more on that hopefully in the next few days. But, you know, 747-400 is good. NBT spent 23 years, all her life with Air New Zealand, until being flown to the desert a few years ago. Probably travelled more distance than NZV and carried more passengers, so it is what it is. Then, another blow. We found out that ZK-NAD, the last remaining NAC 737, second one delivered in 1968 to us here in New Zealand, and the first aircraft to fly a scheduled jet service domestically in New Zealand, has also been scrapped. Crushed was the word the guy used when he described it to me. I finally got through to the Boneyard Company, thanks to our help in the USA, and talked to the person who ran the company, who told me that they'd had it crushed midway through last year. So again, nothing we could have done about it in the time we've been doing this. It is what it is. It's sad. We didn't quite get there in time, but the silver lining here is that there is one more ex-Air New Zealand 737-200 remaining, one of the early ones, NQC, the one with the big cargo door on it, delivered back in 1982. That's currently in a place called Trois-Rivières in Quebec, Canada, and I've already spoken to the company that last chartered the aircraft. Apparently it's still airworthy. It's owned by a company called Helimax. I've contacted them, told them what we're doing. If I don't hear back via email in the next few days, I've got their phone number, I will call them, and hopefully the last flight that can make will be back to New Zealand. I'm trying to negotiate a situation where we have first right of refusal when they've finished with that aircraft. It will be retiring. It's close to being all out of hours. So there's still an opportunity for a 737 there, one of the originals, very well-known aircraft in New Zealand. Many people would have flown on NQC. It's the one that carried the rugby players' livery in the late 90s during the World Cup. What else? Well, we are closer to the DC-8. I've had a meeting today with the Brazilian embassy folk, Pedro and Elisa, and they've filled me in on exactly the status of that aircraft now. I know exactly where it's at, and all I'd say is positive. The pathway is really opening up to getting hold of that aircraft, maybe at some time. There's some issues still related to it, which are being worked through right now. So that is very good news. I've got a good feeling about ZKNZC, and I'll have some more information about that shortly, I hope. Now, I mentioned in the last video update that I'd contacted Bruce, the general manager of Buffalo Airways in Canada, who have the Electra, our XTEB, and I've sent him now the email details of what we're trying to do, waiting for a reply, again trying to negotiate a first right of approval, of refusal I should say, on the Electra when it becomes available, when they've finished with it, whenever that might be, and again its last flight may be all the way back to New Zealand. I've contacted the Cuban embassy in Wellington to start a dialogue about the DC-10 NZS, which is at Havana Airport in Cuba. So far the contact with the embassies has been great, so I'm going to be interested to see what happens there. I'll keep you posted on that as well. Is there anything else on the aircraft front? That's about it. A couple of other things. I have a photo taken for the Sunday Star Times article today out at Wellington Airport, so that's coming along. And I'll be talking with Wallace Chapman on RNZ Sunday morning this Sunday. That's been confirmed by the producer Denise. And the Give a Little page is now open. It's open to view. Of course, we've been asking for donations from May 1st, but you can go in now if you want. Go to givealittle.co.nz/cause/bring our birds home, and we're looking to raise that initial money to get around those 5 airframes, still 5 airframes, and things are progressing, to do the deals to secure them, and one day, who knows, we can get them back and put them on display like the pictures we've been showing you. Well, that's about it for the moment. I can't think of anything more to tell you. Thanks again for the support, the kind words. I know it's been a bit of a disappointment the last few hours or so with the news of NZV and NAD, but literally nothing we could do. This happened long before we started this campaign, but we do have other options. We still have historic artifacts that we need to chase down and include in those 5, and we've only really just begun, actually. So that's the update for the moment. Keep on coming back and supporting and donating to very shortly Bring Our Birds Home.